Angela Merkel's ruling coalition lost one of the last regional elections before Germany holds a national poll in September. Well, is this the beginning of the end of Merkel's 7-year rule? William Boston is joining us from Berlin. That was a bit of a surprise, William. Merkel's personal popularity levels have been very high lately.
That's true. That's at the federal level. On the state level, Merkel is her popularity is more affected by the strength of the parties. And in this state, we were actually expecting a center-left victory, much larger, until a few weeks ago when the SPD, the main opposition party on the left, began to weaken. And so it ended up being a much closer race than anyone had expected, and actually was decided by about 300 votes in one small town in the state, which is a harbinger of things to come in the federal election, and shows us that the election night in September could go down to the wire, just as it did in Lower Saxony.
I mean, this is interesting, William, as you pointed out there. You know, the fact is that regional elections are somewhat different from those on the national scale.
Yes, but they also show us a few trends, and one of the things that we see here is that voters are no longer flocking to protest parties like the Pirates, or in West Germany voting for the former East German Communist Party, but are sticking to the four main parties and the two main coalition blocs, a center-right coalition of Merkel's Christian Democrats and the pro-business Free Democrats, and a center-left coalition of the Social Democrats and the environmentalist Green Party. And as I said, this election last night was decided by one seat in the state legislature.
Is it a case, William, that the focus is shifting? I mean, the Eurozone debt crisis obviously dominated for so long, but that does seem to, I won't say that it's over, but things seem to have subsided a bit. And is it a case here that perhaps focuses more on domestic policies as the German economy slows down?
Yeah, I think the economy and how voters, the security that voters feel about their own future is going to play a much bigger role in this year's election than concerns about the euro crisis. Merkel is by far the champion of the euro crisis in the eyes of German voters, and there's very little that the SPD has to gain from attacking her record. And so this battle is really going to be fought in the living rooms of working class families across the country. The main parties are going to be trying to convince working families that to vote for them in order for them to defend their interests.
I mean, I assume that now, between now and the actual poll in September, the national poll in September, that if anything, unemployment in Germany is likely to rise, and I assume that's not going to be good for Merkel.
Well, yes, except it's only going to rise slightly. The economy was negative in the fourth quarter of last year, and may be on the edge of a recession in the first quarter of this year. But the economy is expected to pick up a bit, and unemployment is not expected to fall sharply this year. By the end of the year, average unemployment is expected to be about the same as it was at the end of 2012. So it's still unclear whether or not concern about jobs is going to play a major role in the campaign. At this point, it's not really looking to be a main theme.
So finally, William, I mean, is there really much of a chance here that Merkel can really, pull it out of the bag and save the day for CDU come September?
Well, her party is still 20 points ahead of the SPD at this point. That's an awful lot of ground to cover, even within 8 months. Is it possible? Of course, but it's going to be a very tight race, and the difference between Lower Saxony and the federal government is also that there's another leftist party in the national parliament which will also get in, the former Communist Party from East Germany, and that fragments the vote on the left and may make it hard for either Merkel or the challenger, the CDU, the SPD, to form a coalition, which could drive the two largest parties into a grand coalition.
William, thank you very much. Interesting German politics there.